Hello there, welcome back to Strife's Talking Points, and I covered this before. One of my topics was angry video game people on YouTube and how CNET covered them and basically just disparaged the whole lot. Well now, a week or so after, CBS, who owns CNET, brings on their, the article writer. The article in question is the sorry, all the way down here on the bottom here. Why are gamers so angry? And they kind of go through it. I'm sorry, I'm getting back down here to my spot. We're going to go through this video here. This is live on the CBS news site, Angry Gaming. It popped up in my feed. I do follow CBS news just for good background on a lot of different topics, although generally not a huge fan of theirs.
So there's a genre of videos on YouTube where people just talk about games, right? Gamers talk about games. But increasingly, some of those videos, they sound really angry. According to CNET, those are videos where...
Now, keep in mind, this CNET article was created as a hit piece to go against YouTube. The YouTube community has outpaced CNET for viewership. I mean, almost all of the people mentioned in the article have a greater viewership than CNET does individually. And as a group, if you want to, let's say, get your perspective on a game that's coming out, I would most definitely go and watch the YouTube people rather than just the puff pieces you kind of see across the board on most mainstream sites, because, you know, you just can't trust it, because either it's an extreme puff piece written to support the game, or it's some breakdown of how the writer feels this way or that way about internal politics, things in the game. These are things which don't relate to gameplay. They don't relate to your overall enjoyment. They're just political aspirations from these large companies trying to get the ad revenue from, let's say, EA or whatever, Rockstar, whatever studio is producing it. And what you have here is the angry gaming community. Now, I watch a lot of these videos because I'm interested in a lot of games. I would not call myself a gamer because I do not drop $70 every couple of weeks on the brand new hottest game. I like to wait until they've been out for a while, the price is down, buy the Game of the Year edition with all the extras, all the bells and whistles, you know, for 10-20 bucks on Steam. That's my forte into this whole thing.
The uploader's goal is to get the audience angry as well. They rely on several different tactics like...
Generally, the video producers are trying to entertain you and inform you. They go after Angry Joe, who does all the skits. I find his stuff pretty funny. Don't always agree with his view of a game, but I find him interesting and entertaining.
Criticizing flaws in games, glitches, or even the price of the game.
But no, the price of the game, glitches, flaws. Everybody that plays any kind of video games would know the fiasco that has become Fallout 76 and then the loot box issue with Star Wars Battlefront. All these different topics which came out not because of games journalists, but because of the YouTube community and these angry gaming people, which I would just say, if you're going to spend $70 of your own money on a game, it's good to know that all these things are there. What's going to happen?
But more clicks means more money, and YouTube's algorithm has shown more extreme videos get more views.
So joining us now is CNET editor-at-large and author of that piece, Ian.
Now, this is the editor who wrote this piece directly targeting the advertisers, the revenue of the people. And on June 3rd, I asked Hamby for an interview to talk about the world of video games commentary. You had better be very careful what you write about me, he wrote in my response. I will pursue legal action should you make any attempt to damage my reputation. These YouTubers, these people, really do go based on their reputation, because if I, as a viewer, were watching the quartering, that's Hamby, watching his videos, and I didn't like his content, didn't trust his opinions about games, I would immediately stop watching him, move on. However, when you watch these videos and they try and take a moderated approach, they talk about games, sometimes, you know, Hamby's a funny one because he calls it spicy, but the viewership is based on trust, not based on advertising number. About 9 hours after I received that email, Hamby told his audience in a new video CNET was planning a hit piece on YouTube commentators. This article here, produced by this CNET editor whose company is being ran over by the YouTube community. Hamby funds his videos part through paid comments, super chats, memberships through YouTube. Gamefly, they actually reached out to them directly and then blocked the ads from Gamefly, from Honda, from DeVry. In this article, he talks about how he reaches out to cut the knees off his competition. Actual players, gamers who have an audience, who view the videos to learn about the upcoming stuff, and he goes after them directly in a hit piece to take away the money. And now CBS is furthering this hit piece on their own channel. Again, legacy media is dying.
So let's just sort of explain what this is. It's like essentially people ranting, and we see videos.
No, essentially people ranting. Some videos are rants, some videos are critiques, some videos are very positive about what's going on.
Videos like that on YouTube, but this is specifically they're ranting about games, and people love watching this?
Gaming is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry funded from the bottom by the players who are now needing new outlets because most of the mainstream sources are extremely biased towards the producer of the game, not the actual buyers of the game, not the players.
They absolutely love it. We're talking about millions of views a week per channel.
Which his CNET, his group, doesn't get. This is CBS, a mainstream news organization. This story has been out, I think, for about half an hour. And you see there they have 1,000 views, and its like-to-dislike ratio isn't doing so hot.
I started following a group of these guys about a year ago. I started seeing them really rise in popularity.
And then he got his stuff together and then wrote the hit piece on them. Yeah, that's his article, Meet the Angry Gamers.
They were gaining hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and some of them are able to do it full time and make a living off of this.
He has a full-time job. He makes a living off of attacking gamers, people who critique games, while his job is to critique games and talk about games. So I guess he doesn't understand the irony that he is doing what they are doing, except he is going after the competitors in the market, where I don't know that I've watched a video where these group of guys, they basically produce most of their content attacking each other. No, they're talking about the games, getting into groups, and when they do disagree with each other, it's interesting because then you can kind of hear more about other people's opinions, where he is actively trying to stop this.
Ranting about these games. And what's interesting as well is it's not just the games and the companies, which is, you know, a lot of that is kind of trying to talk about consumer issues.
Consumer issues, yes, $60, $70 games. Very important to know what's good, what's bad.
But some of it also bleeds into harassment, right?
Now, there you go, harassment. If you have a studio which fails to develop games where it's constant updates, where you're saying quit making trash, quit sending us this garbage to play for $70 on a AAA title, you know, the huge $100 million production, where the game that is delivered is terrible, doesn't function, won't work, causes crashes, stop doing it. He calls it harassment.
Going after members of the community, going
after members of the community. He's going after members of the community. He wrote a harassing hit piece of journalism trying to go after multiple people. This is what he did. All these sites that he goes after are bigger and more popular than his own.
After journalists and
journalists who write puff pieces about games that don't work, that people don't like, people have moved away. The consumer base is no longer looking to CNET for their information. They're looking to Angry Joe. They're looking to The Quartering. They're looking to Geeks and Gamers. They're looking to all these different sites and not CNET. So here come the hit pieces, mainstream media, go after them, get them shut down.
And it starts turning into that as well. So it's a really interesting dynamic that exists in that world.
In the world that he works in. And these two don't understand it, sit back and just let him go with the stuff. Remember, they own his service. This is an advertisement for CNET.
So do these videos encourage viewers to join or support extremist groups or views?
What does that have to, where does that come from? Currently the narrative through the mainstream media is that everything online is extremist. It's the hate groups. It's all the ists and isms you can throw at people, and everything is far right. That's the current mainstream tag, because if you look at a product and you say this is a piece of junk, don't buy it, the people who made it are just trying to rip you off. That's extremist.
Or, I mean, is there a level of extremism that exists in the rants?
There's definitely concern that exists about how YouTube's algorithm encourages people
Again, the YouTube algorithm
toward extreme views, right? And
no, that's more similar to what you've watched. And YouTube is openly and admittedly, after the last few weeks, trying to modify this to block out what they don't like in the hopes of fairness, which, as they've stated themselves, the view that they have on fairness is not what most of America has. It is very specific to this little block there in the media in Silicon Valley.
And we saw a story in the New York Times, actually a couple of days after mine.
He was kind of in that whole targeting of YouTube that seemed to be coordinated among all the media, where he had been, as he says, researching this video for this hit piece for a year. New York Times wrote a piece talking about extremist views when no extremist views were ever held by the person, and he just saw extremist content and it didn't make a difference in his life.
About how, for example, one person who was watching kind of, comedy that was
one person saw some extremist content, didn't affect him, and actually he became a far left socialist / communist through YouTube.
Was a little dark, had been kind of moved over time into extremist views, right?
And his extremist views, he got, the farthest right he got was accepting gender norms, traditional male and female, and dating a Christian girl. And then now he's full blown back on the other side as a socialist. And that's as far right as he went, where if you say that men and women are different biologically and that they exist, that is now a far right term.
Right, so these things can happen because YouTube's algorithm that recommends the next thing to watch will actually encourage you to go after these videos that...
It'll encourage you to go after whatever is next in the line. How YouTube's algorithm pushes viewers to extreme? No. That is false. It is proven false, and it is completely a lie that they would put this in there. The New York Times article was very blatantly false. Everything in it was not true. They tried to make assumptions. It was an opinion of one person's viewing history. Recommendations drive more than 70% of views on the site. I can tell you now that when I watch videos, I do let it play, but a lot of times I click back to my homepage and watch different things. Looking for clips that data shows is already drawing high traffic. Look for things that are popular. Put people on things that are popular. How terrible is that? Majority of videos lead to extreme clips on the third recommendation. What do you consider extreme? There's no definition of extreme. If you consider extreme basic political viewpoints, then that is not extreme to the most people. This is a take where the Wall Street Journal created a fake article to anger people, and that's it.
That are pretty popular. When it comes to these people individually, they're not particularly extremists, right? What there is interesting.
Did you hear that? These people aren't extremists. They're not particularly anything. They're just talking about games, trying to entertain, trying to develop a fan base, trying to get you to give you the information they think you want, they think you need, help influence your decision, because then if you're a fan, you'll come back, you'll watch their videos again, and you'll trust them.
Language. I had a companion piece that talked about how some of the language they use is actually taken out of stuff that we've heard in the alt-right, for example.
No, some of the language they use. So if you use a few words, they tag you to the alt-right. The alt-right, in the way the media presents it, is everyone who's not on the left. If you're not in this media group, you are considered alt-right, far-right. So now the connection in your heads from watching this video would be that angry gaming people, or just YouTube gamers who are telling you what's going on, who get upset about, you know, bad conduct from these big studios, are now linked mentally to the alt-right.
But it's not specifically them trying to push those types of ideologies.
What concerns me about the...
No, so he kind of takes it back. He's like, alt-right, well, no, they're not doing that. But alt-right, they're not doing that. He just lied to you just to get that topic after bringing up extremist overall.
These sort of stories is kids, right?
Yeah.
I have...
Bring the kids into it, because kids should be watching these videos. I am a parent. My son has a YouTube stuff he likes to watch. I actually watch what he goes through. I have very much kept him down to these. Now he likes all these really weird poppy guys and who do, you know, trick shots and all this other stuff, and he thinks it's cool. Whatever. It's what him and his friends talk about, so that's what they watch.
I have a daughter. She watches YouTube all the time, and sometimes I wonder, like, do these people...
And we're going to skip ahead just a minute.
The algorithm sort of feeds them into the next video and the next hours worth of this stuff. I know with my own kids, I sound sort of really angry, and you got to watch something else.
Well, and the thing is, I spoke to one...
Now, what you see here is how teens are online, source Pew Research Center. Almost constantly 24 up to 45%. You see, as we get more and more connected, as smartphones grow, become more and more connected, you see the less often groups falling, and you see the people who are on all the time. I can tell you that I'm an adult. I'm online all the time. I'm always researching stuff, always tracking stuff. I watch YouTube periodically. I use it more as a podcast when I'm driving. But yeah, people are online more now than they were 5-10 years ago.
Researcher who said, look, sometimes this stuff is cathartic, right? It feels good to kind of go after some of these things. And when a company does bad, everyone enjoys beating up at them. The question is, when you have a nonstop playlist of angry stuff and there's no moderation, what is...
You get tired of it and you flip to something else. You cannot moderate billions of videos. What is it, 500 hours of video a minute or something crazy like that? Can't moderate it. People moderate themselves. You have responsibility to what you watch, to what you hear, to what you see. I can tell you right now that if I watch 2 angry videos back to back, I gotta flip it. I gotta watch something else. That's it. I'm done. It's boring. It's too exhausting.
What does that do to your psyche? What does it do to the way you think about the world you're living in? And those were the questions that really came up during the story.
Yeah.
And how do I demonetize these people? How do I grow my own personal brand? How do I cut the legs out from under them? How do I stop this? That was what he was trying to do, is how do I raise my profile by attacking other people?
So let me play devil's advocate for just a moment.
Yeah.
It would strike me that
this is really weird. I've watched this a couple times.
Some of these rants, whether it's over video games or over films or over products, for example, a lot of people in the guitar community, will buy.
I'm assuming this guy plays guitar. That's a very odd thing. I myself own a guitar, barely play it, not that relevant, but yeah.
A new guitar and unbox it and then rant about what sucks about it. I wonder if it's just, I'm guessing a lot of these are men.
If you don't know this about YouTube, most of the content creators, or not most, I believe the largest amount are male. This is a big thing. I don't know why. I've watched a handful of women creators. I like their content. I find it interesting to see a different point of view. But right now, as far as gamers are concerned, the whole phrase there is a lot of the games that are being marketed out there, these huge AAA titles, are being purchased by men. It's shown that that's the market. The research keeps pointing back to that. And these are the people that are being attacked by these big studios, where don't like it, don't buy it. Well, when they don't like it and don't buy it, the studios then revitalize the attacks with all the isms and ists that they can call people. Very unique how they like to do that.
And young boys, right? Yes. So I mean, that's a guess, but okay, because I could just imagine, you know, me, my 12 or 13-year-old self with my boys, like hanging out, and we're discussing the latest video game, you know,
No, this is just silly.
Sega Genesis game back in the 80s, and we're going on about how terrible it is. Or
no, I honest to God wish they had had this type of stuff back in the 80s, because I was a child in the 80s. I owned a Sega Genesis. I owned the Sega 64, Sega CD, all of it, SNES, all of it. GameCube, I've owned them all. It's only in the recent years that I've kind of gotten out of it because I don't have the time. I don't have time to sit down and play these games, and I don't care about the extreme PvP games. I don't care. I want a long escapist storyline. I want you to take me to another world. I want those things. Those are the games I buy. I don't buy the game where every year I have to buy a new game because all the player base moved from one game to another. I want to be able to play a game now, come back to it a year from now, still be able to go through the campaign, enjoy the game.
You know,
that's just me.
Pitfall for the Atari 2600, and we think it sucks, and everybody loves it, but we don't.
Everybody loved Pitfall. It was really hard, really challenging beginning of video games.
Don't like it, and so we're sitting in a room and we're all like screaming at each other about it. Yeah. Isn't it the same thing?
On a level, it is.
On a level it is, but...
And I think what's interesting here, right, and what I wanted to really talk about in the story was about how YouTube encourages this. So let's...
YouTube encourages people to make content that other people enjoy, that makes stuff people want to follow you. I myself am trying to start a channel. Been doing it more or less for the last 2 weeks, just trying to put out a couple of videos every day. And I've seen some subscribers show up. Granted, the topics I cover everywhere, so I haven't decided what I want to make a channel about, but hey, I like to cover things I find interesting, and so far a few people agree and they want to follow it.
Let's look at the other angle of it, right? That's a lot of legitimate concern. Hey, everyone's allowed to criticize anything, but...
Everyone is allowed to criticize anything, and your opinions will be judged by your peers, by your people, your viewers. And notice he said but.
The other end of it was that, for example, I talked to some people who tried to make positive videos, right? They noticed that they got getting more negative. The whole community was getting that way. They started creating negative videos because they saw their numbers rise.
Because if you talk about stuff in a negative way, people like negativity. I was always in sales and always in customer relations. If you do something good, someone will tell one person. Maybe two. You did something great, they'll tell 3 or 4. You do something stupid or bad, they'll tell 10 to 20 people. That was always the rule. If you do something really good, they'll tell 1 or 2 people. Do something great, 2 to 3. Do something bad, they'll tell everyone they know. They'll post it, they'll scream it to the rafters. Something negative. Negative sells. Really does. It's part of life.
So they said, okay, I'm going to try a week of positive videos. Stuff I love, games I'm enjoying, right? Very legitimate stuff, not just trying to be positive. It was one of the worst weeks of views that guy had ever had.
Yeah. Strange enough. And this is a guy who submitted to this article.
Where these people have gone after individual members of the community. Mm-hmm. It's not all of them, right? There's kind of a range of these different types of...
No, he's talking about backlash.
Individual members of the community. Mm-hmm. There are examples where these people have gone after individual members of the community. Mm-hmm. It's not all of them, right? There's kind of a range of these different types of channels, as there is with everything. And in some cases, it really does start attacking, for example, women.
Oh my God, attacking women. I wonder if he's referring to all the people like Feminist Frequency who came out and said everything is sexist, everything is misogynist, everything is just all the worst things. And if you watch most of these guys' channels, they generally say don't contact these people, don't relate to these people, don't do or say anything. All the while, these other side, these people, these activists on the CNET side, these mainstream journalist sites are attacking them directly over and over and over again,
making their lives really miserable, death threats, all sorts of stuff.
And all of these channels that I've watched that he's mentioned have been getting hate mail and threats the entire time.
I even got quite a bit of heat online for writing the story.
Writing a bad article targeting channels you don't like, extremely popular creators who make stuff that people really enjoy, and you went after them for the content they made, and then you went after their advertisers, their money, their bottom line, because you disagree with them. How silly is this, man?
Wow.
So there he is. Here is the editor-in-chief, whose name I cannot find now. Ian Shear, the writer of a hit piece article for CNET, which is trumped by all of the various channels he's attacking, who are all more popular than he is, than his own digital media outlet is, on CBS News, who are also trying to foment this attack on these gaming sites, who are all more popular than they are. It never ends. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a great day. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I don't know. Go out there and follow the quartering. Go follow Geeks and Gamers. Go see Angry Joe. Hold on. Let's give it to all of them. Upper Echelon Games. Angry Joe Show. Jim Sterling. YouTube channel. Boogie2988. Young Ye. That's one. It's not on here. Legacy Killer HD, Clear Prince Gaming. Go follow these guys. Go see them. Go watch their content. Ignore CNET. Ignore CBS. Thank you all for watching. And why are gamers so angry? Because places like CNET refuse to cover games honestly. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day.